What's up, everybody? Welcome to BioWare 3 Raw TV. You can see we get the marker board out. It's been a while since we've had the marker board out. But we're going to talk today about why your life is so fucked up. Now, if you clicked on that button, you push play, you probably want to know why your life is fucked up. Or you might want to be like, well, Jerry, you talking to me because my life is not fucked up. Either way, you clicked on it because you're interested with the title. And I aim to not disappoint. Now, the reason why I can talk about people's lives being fucked up is because of how fucked up my life was before. And I realized that no matter what we do, whether it's good, successful, we fail, or it's bad, it's all our fault. It's on us. Like, we control that whole thing. So a lot of people in general, I think, don't realize that in order to go from one place to another, if you're not happy where you're at, you need to find out where you're beginning, right? So you need to analyze the situation no matter what it is. And I like to use macros as an example because it's easier for people to understand, especially in the fitness community, bodybuilding community, analyzing your macros. So when I first started working with a person, even people that I've trained for years that, just basically kind of eat on their own, but they're like, oh, I want to kick it up a notch, I want to get a little bit leaner, whatever the case may be. I say, okay, well, what's your diet like? And almost always it's a general kind of thing like, oh, I eat pretty good, I balance my proteins, I do this, I do that. And I say, okay, well, how many grams of protein, how many grams of carbs, how many grams of fat are you taking, and what are the macros? They're like, oh, I don't know, I eat sensibly, I eat healthy, I try to eat more protein, I take a shake a day, like whatever the case may be, right? And I go, okay, well, here's what we do. We take MyFitnessPal. What I want you to do is I don't want you to be good. I want you just to do what you normally do. And I want you to track everything for 3 days and let's see what happens. Inevitably, what happens is there's usually way too much sugar in the diet. There's not enough fiber. There's way too many fats. There's way too many carbohydrates. There's way too little protein. Like they think, if I'm eating chicken tenders, I'm getting protein because it's chicken. Well, there's like a little bit of chicken with a lot of batter. So you're getting so much less protein than you thought. But until you sat down, looked at those numbers, like put everything in, actually took the time to enter it, and then looked at them, you didn't even really know it was as bad as it was. Like you had no concept that it was that bad. Like, no, fuck, I didn't realize. Okay, let's make some adjustments based on what we see here. And moving forward, we can see the body change. We can see them get closer to the goal, etc. So analyzing your situation is first, right? Now, the reason why people don't like to analyze their lives is because they don't like to have things pointed out that shows that they're the ones fucking it up. If you are in your life and you're not happy where you're at, and we're going to use business today as a reason. Well, I mean, it could kind of roll over to anything. But regardless, I'm going to teach you guys right now how to analyze your life. And I'm going to show you where some of the downfalls that I see over and over again are consistently with individuals and stuff that I even watch out for myself so that I don't get wrapped up in these situations, right? So number one, let's go back to when, I was a heroin addict. Let's be real, okay? So back when I was a heroin addict, first of all, before we even get there, we all get 24 hours in a day, right? I wish I could get 27 or 28, but we all get 24 hours a day, right? So within that 24 hours, okay, I'm going to be, we're going to go with some regular standard numbers, all right? So some people may work a little more, a little bit less, whatever the case may be. But let's say you have 8 hours for work, right? Okay, well, back in the day, I wasn't working, right? I was a heroin addict. I was selling drugs. I was flipping things on the side. I was doing a lot of things other than working, right? So I had 8 hours. How long do you think it takes to sell those drugs and shit? I mean, realistically, out of your day, you're looking at probably about maybe 2 to 3 hours tops to do everything you got to do, right? So that literally clears up about 5 hours a day, right? That you would normally have working. Now, out of that 5 hours a day, how do you think I spent that 5 hours a day? Fucking around. Getting high, passing out, watching TV, hanging out at friends' houses, right? I just completely wasted that 5 hours, right? So this whole piece right here, gone, right? Now, when I was younger, I would sleep anywhere from 10 to 12 hours a day, right? When I was a little bit older, I'd probably get in about 10 hours, right? Not including the naps I would take because I was on heroin, I would doze off. So you'd probably be hitting the 12 hours a day of sleeping. That's just sleep, right? Which is wasted time. Okay, now, when I say wasted time, I don't mean, well, you got to rest, you got to recover. You don't got to be in bed for 10 to 12 hours, right? So I had 12 hours here, 10 to 12 hours. That leaves, right, pretty much for the rest of the time, about 4 hours of free time. Right? So what would I do with that free time? I would spend it fucking around, right? I would be at clubs. I would be at bars, I would be hanging. I would still take this time and fuck it up. So at the end of the day, I was left with 0 time, and all I do was pretty much sleep, sell a few drugs, and fuck around for the rest of the day. And my life was absolutely in shambles. It was fucked up. I mean, this was like Groundhog Day. This is every day consistently. Now, I'm not saying you guys are here, right? But what I am saying, where's that eraser? Hang on a second. What I am saying is here, right? This is to give you an example of how mine was fucked up personally. So your goal is to find out how yours is fucked up. So going back on the 24-hour principle, right? We all have the same amount of hours. I break them down into 3/8, right? So 8 hours for work, 8 hours for rest, 8 hours for recreational time, right? That's what we all have. Now, most of us are not working more than 8 hours a day, but let's say we are working, 10 hours a day, 5 days a week. So, you're going to lose a little bit of your rec time here. This is obviously going to go down. Or you can take some out of your rest time. I mean, for me, honestly, I get by 6 to 7 hours, I'm good. 6 hours I can get by. So that would give me plus 2 hours here, right? So that would give me 10 hours of recreational time, right? 8 hours of work. Some people work less, right? So let's say you work less. It would keep increasing the number of your rec time, right? Your recreational time. Now, what does that mean, recreational time? I'm using the term recreational, but that doesn't mean sitting on your ass, right? So again, let's boil this down again. And I'm going through one thing at a time, so hopefully you guys can follow along with this. Very basic stuff, but complicated at the same time when you start thinking about how emotions are attached to it when you start applying it to your life. So you have 8 hours for sleep and 8 hours for recreational time. Now, work. So you work 40 hours a week, right? Okay. Well, that's automatic time that you I gotta say you lose, right? Because you gotta work. So you lose that time. That's automatically built into your day, right? Sleep, you need to rest, right? So it's automatically built into your day, right? Let me ask you a question. What do you do for 8 hours a day that you have that recreational time? Well, let's take traveling, driving to and from work, et cetera, et cetera. Let's say, for me, it would take me an hour, maybe 2 hours. So that would bring that down to 6 hours. But regardless, you have 8 hours of time where you're not working and sleeping. Now, what you can do is spend that time with your family. Absolutely, right? You can spend that. But here's, again, I'm going on what I hear from a lot of people. This right here, this number right here, this recreation number, this is where people fall short. This is how you improve your life within this 8 hours, okay? Now, some people are going to spend that time, 3 hours playing Xbox, 2 hours surfing the web, this whatever people like to do, right? 4 hours at the mall, right? Shopping for fucking, God knows what, whatever the fuck you're shopping for, right? But really quickly, you see this number start to go down, right? You see that all these things that you're doing, the numbers start to go down. Well, if you really want to change your life, how much is Xbox going to change your life? It's not, right? It's fun, but it's not going to change your life. So let's say you took the Xbox out, you would have now 3 hours, right? 3 hours in the day that you weren't, right? Let's say you didn't go to the mall, right? You said, all right, well, fuck, I don't really need it at the mall. What the fuck am I going there for? You cut them all out. You now have 4 hours, right? So now you have 7 hours that you now have to do something constructive that you've been wasting. All these random things. Time gets away from us so fucking fast. And it's that one commodity we can't get more of. Right? You can't trade for it. You can't buy it. Once time is gone, it's gone. So we joke about needing more than 24 hours a day where we inefficiently use that 8 hours a day that we have. And some people have more because they don't work or they don't work as much as 8 hours. And some people don't sleep as much as 8 hours. I know a lot of people that sleep 5 to 6 hours and they're fine. So this number increases. So this number instead of 8 could be 10, 12, 13 hours a day. What are you doing with this recreation time? Recreation does not mean fuck off. Here's the thing. If you're not where you want to be at work, in life, it doesn't matter what you're doing here. This is where you're going to change it. Unless you quit your job and stop sleeping, then you get your 24 hours a day. But here, this is where you're going to make the difference. So how do you make that difference? What do you do? How do you utilize that? Well, you stop doing shit like Xbox, okay? So Xbox gets taken out. Now, I don't have an Xbox, but I have the PlayStation, right? And for me, this is what I learned. When I got the PlayStation, it had been a while since I'd had a console thing, probably since I was like a teenager or a kid. And I got the games like Call of Duty, and I got the Batman Arkham Asylum game. And one morning I was playing Arkham Asylum, and I say morning because there's a story behind this. And all of a sudden I turn to look, and my girlfriend is standing there. And she's like, "Are you still up?" And I was like, "What are you doing awake?" She goes, "I'm going to work." I look, the sun is up. I've been sitting down playing PlayStation for about 7 hours straight. There was a part that I was stuck on. And I kept going. I was sitting on a footstool about 2 feet in front of the TV. My back hurt. I was hungry. I hadn't peed. I hadn't done any of my client emails. None of my work. And I had about an hour and a half before I had to be the client at the gym to train them. My day was about to start. I hadn't slept and I hadn't done any of my work because I was too busy fucking with PlayStation because I got wrapped up in it. It was that one instance. I unplugged that fucking thing and never plugged it back in. So I realized, I was like, this is something that I can't just say, well, I'm going to do it till I beat it. I need to, no. I know what I wanted to do and it was fun, but it wasn't conducive with what I wanted to do or where I needed to be or my life. So therefore, I can't do it. Now, some people may say it's extreme, but I'm like, look, you know what is extreme? Living the lifestyle I have now. Let me ask you guys a question. I'm not talking about being a millionaire with millions of dollars in the bank and super rich. When's the last time you walked into a supermarket and didn't have to look at a fucking single price tag? Just took all your shit in the supermarket, threw it in the cart, and bought it, right? When's the last time you didn't have to add shit up to see if you're going to have enough money where you might have to put something back on it? When's the last time you did that? I don't have to do that. I haven't had to do that in over a decade. Why? Because I realized that this time was being wasted, and I knew I could utilize this time to better my life. Now, for me, that time, get this, between the work that I was doing, right, and this is how my schedule got pretty crazy, pretty quick. When I decided to take all my energy and stop competing and put it into business and bettering my life, I would get up in the morning. I would have my first client. So I'd be up at about 6 a.m. I would get up. So wake up, 6 a.m. 7 a.m., first client, right? Come home by 8:30 a.m. and I would immediately be doing emails, right? I'd eat my first meal, do all that stuff by 8:30, right? 9, 10, 11, 12, and I'd be doing all that work by noontime, 1 o'clock, 1 p.m., I'd be at the gym working out, right? Workout would take 2 hours. By 3 p.m., I would be done. I'd be home. I lived like 2 minutes from the gym at the time. And I would be back on emails, right? Doing my emails and stuff like that. And at about 6 p.m. is when I would start getting ready for one of my other jobs, whether it was, and sometimes I would leave one job and go to the other. Because I was working at GNC, just a regular GNC. I was working the counter at the gym. I was training my clients. I was training my clients online, and I was working on the weekends and sometimes during the week on Wednesday nights as a bouncer at a club. I was doing all of that, right? And then my day would start at 6 a.m. So by the time I got home, on those nights that I was working at the club, I would only have, maybe 5 or 6 hours before I had to get up and be back in the swing of things. So the nights that I wasn't working at the club, from 7 p.m., which is when my girlfriend, I try to spend a little bit of time with her because I wound up working so much, from 7 p.m. to 4 a.m., right, was my time. I sacrificed sleep because I ran out of that 8 hours of recreation working. My work schedule went up, so I had to adjust those numbers. Still had the same numbers, 8, 8, 8, but I had to adjust that. So from 7 p.m. to 4 a.m., I learned things like how to, I was using Camtasia, how to edit videos, right? How to shoot videos, coming up with concepts and research about the topics I was going to do. All of this stuff took place, coming up with branding for my business. All of these things took place from 7 p.m. to 4 a.m. And I would sleep 4 a.m. to 6:30, or usually 6 o'clock if I had a client. From 4 to 6, I would sleep about 2 hours. And I would get up and run that whole thing again. And I sacrificed like that for a good 3 or 4 years, about 3 years, I sacrificed like that. I spent all my time working, and in my spare time, I wasn't fucking around online. I wasn't surfing. I wasn't doing dumb shit. This is before Facebook and Instagram were really big, so people weren't just shoved into the phone like they are nowadays. And I tried to learn, what am I going to do? What am I going to do with this? I need to figure out what I wanted to do. And for me, and I'm just going to be honest with you guys of what it sparked it. For me, there was a an article I read about Vin Diesel. He wanted to be an actor. And instead of waiting for someone to come along and hire him, and he wasn't getting any jobs, he bought a book. It was called Making Movies on a Used Car Budget. And what he did was he decided to be his own star in the movie. He wrote the movie, directed it. It's called Strays. And I said, that's it. I'm waiting around for someone to give me a job to be better. I'm waiting around for someone to say, hey, do you want to be in my videos on YouTube? I'm waiting around for a company to say, hey, we want to sponsor you. Why don't I just do this shit myself? Right? Just like Vin Diesel did. I'm like, I'm going to take the time and I'm going to learn how to shoot videos, edit videos, research them, come up with a branding, come up with my gimmick. Like, what's up, everybody? Welcome to BioWest 3 Raw TV. That came from that time. I'm BioWest 3 and I approve this message and we're out. That came from that time. All those things came from 7 p.m. to 4 a.m. in that time when I wasn't sleeping. Now, is it healthy? Here's the deal. What you're doing right now is not healthy. The stress amounts that come with the fact that you don't know what the fuck is going on. You haven't analyzed your life. You don't realize that you're fucking around this much, but you're stressing out about not moving ahead in your life, about not being more financially secure, right? Being financially secure to take care of your family. I'm not talking about being a millionaire. I'm talking about not having to worry about where your food is coming from, right? People are not willing to sit down and analyze their lives like this to figure out how they can better themselves, because when you do this, it's a glaring, obvious slap in the face how much time you fucking waste. How much it's on you that your life is not where it needs to be. And listen, I'm telling you right now, I can already fucking see the comment section lighting up with the excuses about Jerry this, Jerry that, what, I'm like this, I'm like that. I don't give a fuck. Arnold Schwarzenegger, who I don't really like Arnold anymore because of his bullshit fucking, fuck your freedoms thing. But Arnold Schwarzenegger one time said that he only slept a few hours a night. And he said, if you want to be successful, you have to go sometimes without sleep. I mean, he said that. And he is 100% fucking right. If you want to... All right, sorry, we ran out of room on here. So without analyzing your life, you really don't know where you stand. And if you don't know where you stand, how can you make the next steps to get to where you need to be? But when you do this, it obviously shows that it's your fault. Like, we all have the same amount of time in a day. We're all born, we're all die, and everything that happens in between is up to us. Now, again, I'm going to hear the excuses. Jerry, I'm like this, I'm like that. Look, I don't care. I don't care. Nobody's coming to save you. Your life is not going to change unless you accept the shit that I'm saying right now and make the changes yourself. What do you have to lose by breaking that down like that? What do you have to lose by making a schedule? Let's say you break everything down and you only have, out of 24 hours, you break everything down and you have your work, you have your sleep/rest, right? And in the very end, you're left with, let's say you're only left with about, after you're like driving to, from, picking up the kids, getting the laundry done, going to pick up food, whatever, grocery shop and everything. Let's say you're left with 3 hours per day, right? That's 21 hours a week that you could be doing something to better yourself. Like, let's say you have a passion for, I don't know, collecting baseball cards. That's 21 hours a week that you could learn how to broker baseball cards online. That's 21 hours a week that you could learn what the latest and hottest baseball cards are, whatever the case may be. Let's say you're into cars and you want to start a business fixing cars, right? You have 21 hours to figure out how to start that business, where to get the licensing, what the first steps are. Well, Jerry, how do I know what to do the first steps? Google first steps towards starting a business for a mechanic. Google, all the fucking steps will be there. But the first step to all of this is doing this and analyzing your life to figure out what's going on. You are wasting right now, I'm telling you, because right now, Xbox, I know plenty of people that are playing 4 to 5 hours of Xbox a week, right? a day, 4 to 5 hours. What could you do with that? And then they sit there and complain and be like, oh, I don't have any money. Well, what the fuck? Even if you're working a side job, right? You got a side job there are plenty of places that have 5-hour, 6-hour shifts. Like, you could be working a side job to try to bring in money to alleviate your financial situation just for now, right? You could be using the 4 to 5 hours to learn another skill. You could be that's what I did with the video editing and the shooting and all that different stuff like that. Like, I taught myself that. I was working with a product called Camtasia at the time, which for me was super complicated. I'd never seen anything like it, right? I've used Camtasia, I've used Premiere Pro, I've used iMovie, I've used all these things and taught myself how to do them, which, it's not that hard, but for me, I wasn't versed in any of that shit. Right? And think about where I am now. Like, a lot of my entire following is made up off of making these videos and editing them together and making vlogs and traveling and doing all these different things that I didn't know any of that shit. None of that shit. I was a fucking dude sitting in his house with my 8 hours wasting a shitload of those hours. It wasn't until I started getting this concept, when I got free from heroin, when I say free, I broke those chains from heroin and I got free, that I understood this. So wait a minute, I've been wasting all this fucking time sitting around, fucking around, watching TV, watching movies, playing fucking video games. Like, what the fuck, or just being high. And all of a sudden I was clean and I was edgy. I couldn't just sit in the house anymore. I couldn't just sit there anymore. I realized how much fucking time I had wasted in my life. And when I got clean, I was on the fucking, hit the ground, I was running, I was off. And I've kept my head down and moving forward as fast and hard as I possibly can ever since. It's been 21 years this year. If you look at my life back then, when I first did this analyzation, it was in fucking shambles. Right now, you're the one listening to me because I'm telling you how I did it. And you guys have seen, well, you guys didn't see the transformation from being on heroin and stuff, but you guys have seen the transformation alone just in me as a person, my surroundings, my businesses. I created my own business. I did all of this stuff by learning this stuff, by using my spare time wisely. So take home messages, guys. Here's the deal. We all get 24 hours in a day, right? Regardless of how much you work, how much you don't work, how much you fuck around, how much you sleep, etc., we all have the same amount of time in the day. And if these people can become successful, like, you know, I'll throw just certain names out there, like Elon Musk and these different people. Like, look, I'll be honest with you. There are company CEOs that are multi-millionaires that I know. I've been around some serious money, guys. I'm not even joking. Like, some of the people, it would drop your fucking jaw to the floor to know who some of these people are and how much money they have. And I had access to them to ask them, like, well, how did you do this? How did you do that? Well, I only slept 2 hours a night. I only slept 4 hours a night, right? I slept on the plane on the way to the business meeting. I didn't sleep at home. So, like, right now, when this is a perfect example. I have opportunities to me right now because I know how to utilize it 8 hours a day. When I went to Mexico to judge the the Lionheart Classic in Leon, Mexico about a month ago, my flight left here at 5 o'clock in the morning, which means I had to be at the airport by 3:30 in the morning, which means I had to be up about maybe 2:30 in the morning to catch my flight. Now, I don't go to bed till 4 because I'm usually working. So what I did, had to shift did a lot of my work like really early in the day, had to shift everything around, get to bed a little bit earlier, get a few hours sleep, like 3 hours sleep, which I'm not functioning very well on anymore at this age. And when I got to the airport and got on the plane, I slept on the plane. I landed at my first layover, met up with the Andys, right? They were both going down there, Andy B and Andy B, the double Andy Bs. And we left Chicago and went to Leon, Mexico. I landed in Leon, Mexico, right? It was about maybe 1:30 in the afternoon. So now I've been traveling. It was a full 12-hour travel day. By the time I got there, got settled in, right? 12 hours of traveling, right? On 3 hours sleep. But I supplemented the sleep in between. When I landed, went directly to the venue to see what was going on, get everything set up there, left there, ate, did my clients right there, boom, started doing my clients and stuff right there at the hotel, took care of all that, had a meeting with the NPC, went back to my room, finished making my posts, finished filming a vlog, and at the same time, finished my clients, took a shower, crashed out, and then woke up the next morning at about 6 a.m. and did it all again. And it was a consistent, work nonstop, boom, 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 till you were done. A little bit of food, a lot of work, a little bit of sleep. Then I was back on a flight. This is great. I had to leave the hotel to come back home at 2 a.m., which means I needed to be up at 1 o'clock in the morning to catch my flight because the flight was leaving at 4. So if it was 4:30, the flight was leaving. I literally had to be up at 1 o'clock a.m. in a fucking taxi because they didn't have Uber down there to get to the airport for 3 a.m. so I could go through everything, go through security, and catch my flight. Slept on the plane, landed in Dallas, went through customs. By the time I got home, it was a 14-and-a-half-hour travel day. And I had just worked 3 days in a row, nonstop, about 12 hours a day, slept very little, still handled all my clients, still filmed my vlogs, still had time to talk to Aaron. I had the time to do all this shit. Whereas 99% of you would have not been able to fucking pull that off. And I do it all the time consistently because I'm able to manipulate those 3/8, the 24 hours a day. Just because you go a couple days without as much sleep doesn't mean you're going to fucking die. Doesn't mean it's bad for you. You go weeks and weeks and weeks on 3 hours sleep, yeah, you're fucked. You do it for 3 or 4 days, you're okay. You can do that. But the amount of shit you get done in that time can propel you so much more forward that you don't even understand how much it can improve your life. But you have to sacrifice to get to that point. And most people don't know what sacrifice is and they don't want to. When I moved here from Rhode Island, I moved to Maryland. Here was the sacrifice. I didn't have any money. So I spent just about everything I had getting down here. And the rest of the money went on securing the apartment. We slept on, honest to God, guys, we slept on a fucking floor for about 6 months. I was 28 years old, by the way. I wasn't like a teenager. Slept on a floor for about 6 months. We had no couch. We had a TV on a milk crate. We had no bureaus, no dresser drawers or anything like that. All of our clothes were fucking around the room on the outside folded. Like, we had nothing. And that was 6 months that I was getting up, literally commuting 2 hours each way into DC from Maryland, if you know the traffic, guys. Each way, working a solid 10-hour day, and did that consistently over and over and over again while trying to get off the Suboxone that I was on. At the same time, barely making ends meet, while my girlfriend was working just as hard at an advertising agency. So we were both sacrificing all of that to get to the point where we could buy a couch. We could buy a bed. We could buy bureaus. We could do things that we needed to do to be fucking people. But we knew if we go down there and fuck around and we don't sacrifice, it ain't gonna fucking happen. We made the choice, or I made the choice specifically to move to another state, leave my friends and family behind, start a whole new life with nothing, and sacrifice from the beginning because I understood this concept. I understood that concept at that time, and I knew I could make it work. And it took me years to make it work. You guys decided to see the success that I have now and say, well, of course, it's easy for you to say, you travel, you got paid to travel, you make money, you got this, you got that going, you got multiple businesses. You work with some of the biggest companies in the entire industry. Right, but how do you think that happened? By sacrificing. So not only do you have to analyze, you have to sacrifice at the same time. If you're not willing to do either one of those, and they have to be done together, you are not going to improve your life. You're destined to sit in the same fucking spot you're in, not enjoying yourself. Well, I shouldn't say not enjoying yourself, because a lot of people enjoy themselves, but then they're stressed out about where they're at. Why aren't I further along? You're looking at other people wishing you had what they had. You can have everything that everybody else has. You just have to want to go out there and get it, and then take responsibility for yourself and realize this is on me. Nobody's going to give this shit to me. Those motherfuckers driving the Lambos, nobody gave those Lambos to them. They fucking earned those Lambos. They went out and worked and did business deals and fucking made themselves smarter by using that extra 8 hours of recreation a day to learn different skills, how to communicate, there's a million things that you can do with it that are more productive than playing Xbox, fucking sitting around. Reading books. Look, although reading books is good to get information to learn from, not necessarily unless it's something that you're going to be bettering yourself with. If you're reading a fucking romance novel, guess what? You're not bettering yourself. If you're reading a book on how to fucking create a business, the book making movies from used car, making movies on used car prices or something like that, right? The Vin Diesel book. If you're reading that book, that's fine. But wasting your time sitting there reading a romance novel, looking at fucking shit on the internet, laughing about shit, watching people's fucking dogs and the funny videos and shit, hey, it's all fun. But until you have that leisure of having your life set up to where you can do that and it's not interfering, you're blocking yourself from becoming your next best self. You are harming yourself. You're stopping yourself from becoming successful. So in closing, guys, here's the deal. You're responsible for yourself, not anybody else. It doesn't matter what the next guy has or the next guy does. You are responsible whether you are where you want to be or not. You're responsible whether you're financially secure or not. You are responsible. There is no fucking excuse because you have the same amount of hours in that day. If you don't use them wisely, that ain't on him, her, them. It's on you. BicepTraining@gmail.com. Leave comments down below, but don't fight. BicepTraining.com is a blog. It's on you, bicep. Still there, and we are out.